to tell you, you're going to have 7 minutes, that the EPA sent over today this disc that shows 340,364 pages of supporting analysis and data that went into their 5-week assessment, actually 7-week assessment, because it was 5 weeks on the Markey, 2 additional weeks on ours of S1733. And also, I'm sure you're aware that we did get there was a press release sent out that said that the Republicans are not going, I think if I could have that press release, I put it in the record. I don't want to misspeak, but my conclusion is that we won't have a critical mass of Republicans here until after an analysis is done. And the other news I wanted to share with you is that Senator Reid made a commitment to me just by phone that after we vote our bill to the floor, and before he brings up this bill on the floor, because he's going to marry, as you know, a number of bills, the energy bill, this bill, some bills from other committees, he will ask for another 5-week analysis. So I just needed you to know that those steps have been taken, and at 2:30 we will have the EPA here. So we welcome you. We're very happy to see you, and please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would ask unanimous consent, since I'm representing myself and the other minority members of this committee, that I be given up to 12 minutes to make a statement here before this committee.
Is there objection? No objection.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, I want to say that I appreciate all of your time and vigor devoted to finding a solution to what you and I believe to be one of the world's most pressing problems. Very few members in Congress could claim to have spent as much time and energy and focus as you and your staff. You are passionate about that. I agree with you that climate change and how our nation addresses it is of incredible importance. But in my 44 years in public service, I have learned that tackling significant problems requires the best information available and the most vigorous analysis from unbiased sources. I don't recall ever finding meaningful solutions with incomplete information and stark partisanship. When I was mayor of the city of Cleveland was 8-1 Democrat. All my council members were Democrats. But we realized we had a symbiotic relationship, and by working together, Cleveland received 3 All-American City Awards during that period. Our motto was, "Together we can do it." It was the same case when I was president of the National League of Cities and chairman of the National Governors Association. We worked on a bipartisan basis, and Senator Copper can testify to the fact that we did work on a bipartisan basis to get things done. After 34 meetings with other members of the United States Senate, 14 meetings with officials from the Obama administration, 42 meetings with interested parties on both sides of this issue, and 4 trips overseas, I have found that crafting a bill that reduces emissions without harming the economy will require more than political will. It will require detailed review and analysis of the various international, which will have stark impact on what we do, technological, regional, practical, and political challenges that confront us as we try to solve this global environmental issue. And it is a global international issue. Most of our international partners can't comprehend the stark difference in the United States as to what generates our electricity. In most of those countries, it's either coal or it's nuclear or it's something else. They don't understand in the United States the differences and where our respective regions get our energy. While we may disagree on the best policies to address climate change, we can all agree that pressing ahead in a bipartisan fashion is the most productive course that we can take. After conferring with my colleagues on the EPW committee, the minority wants to work on this legislation and move forward to mark up this bill. Sincerely, we want to do that. I appreciate you've delayed the markup and pushed back the deadline by which minority members may offer amendments. And I appreciate your inviting EPA to explain its work to the committee this afternoon. However, while I respect your intent, the issue before us is not whether we understand EPA's 38-page discussion paper on Senate 1733 and its current analysis of Waxman-Markey. Rather, the issue is that the committee lacks a full analysis with modeling runs of S1733. Having an EPA briefing does nothing to change that. In all due respect, I might also mention that we received this bill on Friday at 11:30 p.m. And even if we did have no problems with the lack of analysis, marking up this bill today seems a little bit premature. We got a Friday night, 11:30, and the weekend, and we're talking about marking the bill up today. We need time to read the bill and prepare amendments. The EPA briefing is unnecessary for another reason, Madam Chairman. EPA has already agreed to do the modeling with the inputs and assumptions I requested. So we should be able to reach a bipartisan agreement to get it done. My staff worked together with EPA's modelers over several weeks to reach this agreement, and I appreciate their hard work. No more negotiation is needed. Madam Chairman, all you need to do is to give your consent, and EPA can go to work on this immediately. I understand that EPA will make the case this afternoon that there are no major differences between Waxman-Markey and Kerry-Boxer, but that simply isn't the case. For example, the most obvious change is the more stringent 2020 emissions target. A tighter target means greater reduction requirements and thus greater costs. In addition, fewer allowances are available to the regulated sources due to the CBO haircut, which requires more allowances to go to a deficit reserve fund. If, as EPA suggests in its discussion paper, the Senate bill would provide the same amount of allowances that would be offered as Waxman-Markey, why have such groups as AARP, National Consumer Law Center, Public Citizen, and consumers written this committee to express their concern about fewer allowances for the poor and the elderly? Besides the number of allowances, this bill has different restrictions on offsets. It allows fewer international and more domestic offsets. In its Waxman-Markey analysis, EPA concluded that restrictions on the number of international offsets can nearly double the price of allowances. The bill also contains different preemption provisions, different offset validation provisions, different natural gas provisions that may cause fuel switching to occur earlier, different provisions regarding the oversight and regulation of carbon markets, and a different market stability reserve fund with a soft collar. These are just some of the differences between the two bills. In fact, EPA admitted in its responses to post-hearing questions that it had not estimated a sum total of the differences between the two bills. In addition, the agency admitted several times that it did not run the full economic modeling for this bill, but rather synthesized the results of modeling analysis on other bills. They constantly kept doing it through this 38 report that I read, and I hope most of you did. Madam Chairman, you wrote a letter in response to the 6 ranking members with jurisdiction over climate change legislation that EPA's work on S-1733 relied on more analysis than the 10,000 pages provided this committee during the Clear Skies debate. With all due respect, that's not the issue. I'm not concerned about how many pages EPA read and synthesized. What this committee was considering was Clear Skies. The administration actually did full modeling runs on this legislation we plan to mark up. As with Clear Skies, it's appropriate and well taken that the committee get full modeling runs on the bill before us. The path to a bipartisan markup is straightforward. Allow the EPA to begin full economic analysis so that members can make the most informed decisions possible. I have for months attempted, to get the EPA to give us the modeling for the Markey-Waxman bill. In fact, I was forced to place a hold on the nominee for Deputy Administrator Robert Persisepi to emphasize the importance of obtaining this information. But since we have an agreement with EPA, we have an agreement on the modeling, I'm willing to commit to releasing the hold on Mr. Persisepi once the information is delivered to this committee. EPA did perform an analysis of the Waxman bill, but a detailed look at EPA's work reveals the use of assumptions which in some cases defy practical and technological realities. For example, EPA assumes that nuclear power will grow by 150% by 2050, assumes the commercial deployment of 25 gigawatts of CCS by 2020. That's equivalent of 50 average coal plants, 60 gigawatts of CC by 2050, or 109 coal plots by that time. Assumes that biomass grows 3 times by 2020 and nearly 10 times by 2050, and assumes 2 billion tons of offsets per year, domestic and international, beginning the first year of the program. These unrealistic assumptions mask the potential economic impacts of the bill. As the Energy Information Agency points out, the timing of the development, this is a quote, the timing of the development, commercialization, and deployment of low emissions electricity generating technologies such as nuclear power, coal, with CCS, dispatchable renewable power, is a major determinant of the energy and economic impacts. In addition, major provisions of the bill weren't modeled at all, including various mandates and requirements that will diminish the effectiveness of the trading system and increase overall costs. As EPA explains in its October 23, 2009 discussion paper, quote, standards that impose restrictions on the way in which a particular subset of sources meet the cap will reduce this flexibility and, if binding, likely increase the cost without delivering additional emission reductions, end of quote. EPA's modeling is only as good as the assumptions built into it. Unrealistic assumptions about technology and offset availability and the lack of comprehensive analysis of the entire legislative proposal greatly limits our understanding of the potential cost of the program. These oversights may point to a very serious problem in the design of the proposal, problems that could be properly remedied by a conscientious bipartisan effort. The time to take a detailed look at these issues is now. These are not issues that can be simply fixed on the Senate floor. Indeed, the very reason why we employ the committee process in the drafting of legislation is so that major problems can be resolved prior to moving to the floor. Yet, Madam Chairman, by the actions of this committee, we're moving forward without information that could affect fundamental decisions as to how we consider and potentially amend the bill. I know you insist that EPA has provided a full analysis, but that contradicts testimony from the EPA administrator herself, who said flatly that the agency has not conducted a full analysis. Madam Chairman, asking for an EPA analysis is not a stalling tactic. This is not a ruse to prevent this committee from marking up a climate bill. Rather, this is a genuine attempt to make sure that the members of this committee, both the majority and the minority, have the best information available as we debate and amend the bill that will have consequences for every person in our country. I asked what the House passed Waxman-Markey bill would mean for jobs, electricity prices, gasoline prices in different regions of the country. I asked about offsets, technology, nuclear power, fuel switching, the list goes on. And time after time I got nowhere. To remove any doubt or our persistence in trying to get answers, I have a timeline of what we did. I'm not going to go through it. It started in June, went through July 13th, July 24th. Let's see, on August 6th, the EPA said no and responded this way. Chairman Boxer has announced that she will, this is a quote, has announced she will introduce an energy and climate bill in September. Can I ask for, where am I on my time?
You finished your 12 minutes, but...
Can I ask for another 3 minutes? It won't be 3 minutes.
I'll give you another minute. I've got colleagues that just don't have time to, they want to speak because they have other appointments, but I'll give you another minute.
I understand that. You did give Senator Kerry 25 minutes when he came in. Thank you.
Senator Kerry was a witness. We usually treat all members the same, so...
Madam Chair, I ask unanimous consent for Senator Voinovich to be granted an additional 3 minutes, please.
Is there objection to that? All right. Then we will add 3 minutes to any colleague who needs additional time. Go ahead.
As a quote, EPA. Chairman Boxer has announced that she will introduce an energy and climate bill in September and that she will call the bill up for consideration at a business meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee this fall. She has asked that the EPA perform an economic analysis of her bill. I believe that it would be appropriate for you as a member of the committee to discuss with the chairman and EPA the parameters, assumptions, and scenarios to be included in that analysis. End of quote. On August 31st, I sent a follow-up letter to Administrator Jackson expressing my disappointment over EPA's refusal. We went on. At this point, finally, EPA made it clear there wasn't enough time to perform the analysis on the Markey-Waxman bill. I was told that due to the committee's short time frame considering 1733, the agency would conduct a so-called meta-analysis of the bill. This is the October 23rd discussion paper that we're talking about today later on. In other words, EPA would analyze the bill in light of existing studies and other bills. I've already read through the 38-page discussion of it, and I want to conclude by saying this. We have an agreement with the Environmental Protection Agency that's all worked out. They've agreed to do it. I told them we'll take the hold off if they will give us the complete analysis of the Boxer Kerry piece of legislation. We have to understand that the bill is 1,000 pages. The fact of the matter is that those 1,000 pages, in those 1,000 pages, the entire economy is going to be restructured. The bill will have an unprecedented impact on our national security, economy, environment, and energy needs. And for that reason, all of the members should have a full understanding of what this means for their states and constituents. There's no doubt, based on the markup of this committee and the majority here, you can mark it up and you can do just about anything you want. But it does remind me of one thing. Many of you remember back when I did not support the Foreign Relations Committee on John Bolton. I sat at that meeting. I heard from Senator Kerry. I heard from Senator Biden and other senators on the other side of the aisle who said, we want more time. We think it's important to have more time so that we can consider this. And at that stage of the game, I said, no, I'm not going to go along with putting Bolton through this committee. We're not going to approve it. We're going to give the other side more time to get the job done. I think what we're doing here today is going to have a dramatic impact, colleagues, on this committee and where we go between now and I'm going to leave at the end of next year. We're going to have a lot of other matters that are going to come before us. And what I'm doing today is I'm pleading to you and to the chairman as a matter of the golden rule or the second great commandment or just just decency to go forward with this. This is not something on my part that I'm trying to con you out of or something like that. I think we need this information. This is a really important issue. I have put hours into it. I do want to work on a bipartisan basis. I think we can get something done. And I'm asking, Madam Chairman, I'm asking this committee, give us some time, get the information that we need, and let's really work together on a bipartisan basis to get this done.
Senator, thank you very much. I'm going to make a 60-second response here. I've done something unprecedented as far as we can tell. We are taking time out of a markup. We've held 50 hearings. We've had 54 witnesses, 9 panels. We let everybody see our bill 10 days rather than the required 3. We have a full-blown economic analysis backed up by 340,000 pages. Now, there's a difference of opinion as to whether or not this is sufficient. I respect your view on it, but the fact is the EPA stands firmly behind this. The Obama administration stands firmly behind this. We're not rushing. We are taking our time here. We are taking our time. We're taking time out of a markup at 2:30 to have the people from EPA who know what went into this be here for you, sir, and all the members of the Republicans. Now, I just want to say, the reason I raised the clear skies is because, Senator Voinovich, you raised it many times. It's in the record. You said we had 10,000 worth of pages behind clear skies. We have, hundreds of thousands of pages behind this. I didn't raise it. You did, and I was responsive. I know you want to do what's right. Every one of us wants to do what's right. And there's just a difference of opinion here, which we have to recognize that there is. And I would just say you put a hold on Deputy Administrator Perciasepi. Everyone thinks he's terrific. You had a right to do that. I never even tried to talk you out of it. I feel very sad for this man. He's ready to rock and roll and do his job, but he can't do it. And you did it because you didn't like the EPA modeling of Waxman-Markey. Every single Republican on the House side stayed and marked up that bill. They didn't like it. They voted no. You know that. We had one Republican on that committee that voted aye. I just want to say to you, we'll keep working. We'll be here at 2:30. I hope you come. You have a lot of important questions to ask the folks who know about the model, and we look forward to seeing you at that time. And I appreciate your sincerity. I never doubted it for 2 seconds, Senator. And it's just that there's a strong difference of opinion about the modeling. But we're taking time out, unprecedented. We're taking a recess from the markup at 2:30 to hear from EPA. And with that, we have a list of senators.
Madam Chairman,
it's Merkley.
Yes. Can I say
yes.
Thank you very much for the time that you have given me? And just to say one more time, we already have an agreement with the EPA to provide the full analysis. They're ready to go with it. If you give them the word, they can get moving on it immediately.
Well, Senator Reid just sent out the word that that's what's going to happen after we get this bill out and all the other committees. Then they're going to do a full-blown analysis of the final bill. Senator Merkley, followed by